Hey crypto friends, for those of you who are new to the channel, my name is Garrett and welcome to Altcoin Radar. Today I am going to be doing a little bit of a different video, and this video is going to be a little bit longer than my usual videos simply because I'm going to be explaining things in a very step-by-step fashion. So today I'm going to be showing you guys the exact trading strategy that I have been using for this trading challenge that I have been personally doing since the beginning of September. And I will go through that and I will explain the challenge that I've been doing as well here in a little bit also. So stick with me here. Now, for those of you who love trading crypto and would like to try out the same crypto exchange that I use on a regular basis, feel free to go ahead and try out the Blowfin exchange here with the link in the video description down below this video. I personally love this exchange because they allow anybody from anywhere to be able to sign up and trade crypto futures. So if you are from the United States like I am and you want to trade crypto futures, you can do it right here on the Blowfin exchange. All right. So guys, the first thing I want to talk about here is, let's see here. The very first thing I want to talk about is going to be about the actual strategy itself. So here's the thing, all right? This strategy is among thousands upon thousands of different trading strategies that exist. And this is one thing I want to mention to people. So for those of you who might be new to my channel and you're watching this for the first time, if you want to learn trading, the one thing you have to keep in mind here is there are thousands of trading strategies that exist, and not every trading strategy is going to work for every person, all right? You have to find a strategy and you have to piece things together that's going to work well with your personal personality, okay? This is the reason why thousands of different trading strategies exist, is because everybody's got a different personality, everybody has got different goals, everybody has different, everybody has different challenges. So this is the reason why you cannot just try a trading strategy and be like, oh, this doesn't work, so therefore it's not going to work for me. All right, here's the thing, all right? There are literally all kinds of different trading strategies out there. You just have to find one that works for you. The only reason I'm doing this video today is to show the people who have been watching me do my challenge. I'm just going to show them exactly how I am doing it. Now, about the challenge itself, I'm talking a very extremely risky challenge, okay? This is not something that I would suggest to anybody doing unless they have a solid trading system down, they know what they're doing, and they are good with trading already, okay? I would not suggest a beginner doing this because you will lose all of your money if you lose just one trade, okay? This is very, very risky. So what I have been doing is I have been doing a compound trading challenge where I started at the beginning of September with $5,000. All right. Now the goal is to compound my profits in every single trade that I take. And my goal is to be as consistent as possible. Okay. So I'm not even looking at the dollar amounts that I'm making in my trades. All I am looking for is making sure that I am reaching my weekly percentage goals. So on a weekly basis, I have to make sure that I am profiting at least 15% every single week. And by compounding, what I'm talking about here is, for instance, the very first trade here, I'll just go ahead and go to my spreadsheet and show you. All right. So overall, my entire goal from the start of September has been to profit 15% every single week, whether that's 3% per day over the span of 5 days, making that 15% that week, or it's 15% in one trade for that week, and that's it. All right. Regardless, I need to make 15% every single week. All right. So as you guys can clearly see here, this was my very first week right in here. Okay. I started with $5,000. Now, at the end of my very first trade, I made 3.45%, which made me about $172 after fees. And therefore, my new balance for the next trade was $5,172. So my next trade, I entered with $5,172. Now, my next trade, I made $334 off of it. So $334 plus $5,172 came out to $5,506. So now the next trade I do after that, I enter with $5,506, and you just continue to compound it over and over and over, okay? Now, this is why it is extremely risky, all right? Because if you lose just one trade, you could lose a lot of money. But as you guys can clearly see, I have been doing this challenge for about a month and a half now, and I have not lost a single trade yet for this challenge. I have so far gone from $5,000 all the way up to $15,400 as of yesterday. And I also have monthly target goals for my end of month balance as well. So as you guys can see here, for the first month of September, since I started a week later than the first week, my target percentage goal for that month would have been 45%. I ended up coming out with 68.89%, and my end of month balance goal was 7,789. But instead, I actually overshot that, and I came out with 9,579. And actually, what's kind of funny about this is we are in the second week of October right now, and I have already surpassed my monthly balance goal for October already, which is 15,401. But the balance goal is actually 15,373. So as you guys can clearly see, I've already crushed that for October. All right. So that's just a little bit of a background of the actual challenge that I am personally doing here, okay? So now let's go ahead and actually talk about the actual trading strategy that I use personally that works great for me personally, all right? So the first thing I want to mention here is the indicators that I use, okay? The only indicators that I'm using is I'm using the RSI for one, and the reason why I'm using the RSI, I am not basing any of my trading decisions off of the RSI whatsoever. The only thing I'm using the RSI for is to gauge the overall sentiment in the direction that we're currently moving, okay? I'm not making any decisions based off of it. I'm just using it solely to see what the overall sentiment is on the time frames that I'm using, okay? So I'm using RSI, and then the other indicator that I am using here is just the EMAs, okay? The EMAs that you are seeing here, the estimated moving averages you're seeing here, are the 20 period and the 200 period, okay? And I basically only use the 200 period as a kind of like a support, kind of like an extra layer of support type deal. And I use the 20 period because the 20 period is great for trading on a regular basis, all right? And I'll get into that as well on a later in the video when I start to explain things in a deeper manner, all right? Now, as far as the time frames I'm using for trading, the main time frames I'm using for trading, for instance, at the very beginning of every single day when I'm trading, the very first thing I do is I open up the total 3 chart, which is the overall market cap chart for the entirety of the altcoin market in general, okay? So I open up the total 3 chart, I go to the daily time frame, and I just check and see what the overall altcoin market is currently doing, what type of trend it's currently in. I draw out any charting patterns that I see, and then I'll move over to the 4-hour chart, and I'll do the same thing over here as well. I'll check out the support and resistance levels, and I'll check and see what kind of trend it's going through. I'll check and see where its position is in relation to the EMAs, all that good stuff. Now, and then after that, I will finally move over to the 1-hour chart, and I'll look at the same thing on the 1-hour chart as well, okay? Now, after I go ahead and go through and look at the total 3 chart, then I will go ahead, by the end of me looking at the total 3 chart, I kind of have a general idea of what direction altcoins are going to be moving in for that day. So then I will go ahead and I will go down to my coins that I'm able to trade, and I will start going coin through coin and start looking for setups between the 4-hour chart and the 1-hour chart. And I'll use the 4-hour chart specifically to find the overall trend, and I will use the 1-hour chart to find overall where I want to enter and where I want to exit the trade, okay? Now, as far as the coins that I am trading is concerned, with me personally, I mean, everybody is different as far as what coins they want to trade. As you guys can clearly see on my watch list here for the coins that I do trade, I trade a lot of the highly reputable, top 50 type altcoins, okay? And the reason why is because they always have a very high amount of daily trading volume, and therefore we've always got some decent volatility going on in the market for those specific coins. Therefore, they are usually great to trade on a regular basis at all times, all right? So as you guys can clearly see, I've got stuff like Near, SUI, SEI, Aptos, Chainlink, Phantom, Celestia, TIA, Avalanche, AVAX, Uniswap, Polkadot, Thorchain, Rune. I've got Litecoin, Render, Chiliz, BNB, BCH, stuff like that. And then I also have a list of the top tier high volume meme coins as well. And the only reason why I have a list of the high volume meme coins is because if I don't find any setups in any of these other coins, then I will use meme coins as a last resort to look for setups. And the reason for that is because I'm one of those types of people who does not like to trade meme coins. I honestly hate trading meme coins, but they do offer significant amounts of volume, and they are, usually pretty volatile on a regular basis. So they are good to trade for that specific reason. Okay, so overall here, now that we have got the indicators that I use out of the way, the time frames I use out of the way, and the coins that I trade out of the way, let's go ahead and I will show you exactly what I do here, okay? So I'm just going to go ahead and pretend like it's the beginning of a day, and I'm just going to show you exactly step by step what I do and what I look for here, okay? And I'm going to use previous breakouts as examples here, okay? So let's go ahead and see what we've got going on here. Now, first of all, as you guys can clearly see, you can see these green, the green horizontal areas and the red horizontal areas. These are levels of support and resistance, okay? So keep that in mind as well, okay? So what I am going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go back to the total 3 chart, and we will go back to the 4-hour chart. And what we can clearly see right now is we are currently trading within a gigantic range here, and we've got some pretty good sized, we've got some resistance way up here at the roughly around the $614 billion level, as you guys can clearly see up here. Let me go ahead and actually use my horizontal rays and make those a little brighter. So as you guys can clearly see, we've got some strong resistance up here at 614 billion. And then we've got support down here as well. We've got support right there at 577 billion. And then we've got another support layer down here at right around $569 billion as well, okay? So this tells me, and we are currently, let's see here, and the total 3 is currently starting to trend underneath the 20 period EMA, okay? Now, let me go ahead and explain this, okay? As far as the EMAs are concerned, this is why I absolutely love using the 20 period EMA, because it offers great signals for entry points. And what's great about this is a lot of the times, as you guys can clearly see, when we are in a bullish momentum movement, we can clearly see price action is always on top of this 20 period EMA right here, okay? And when we are coming down, when price is in a bearish trend, the 20 period EMA is always on top of the price action, and the price is always coming down below it, okay? So that is one big reason why I love using the 20 period EMA, all right? So as we can clearly see, we did have a candle closure underneath the 20 period EMA here, and the current candle is currently struggling between both the 200 and the 20 period as well. Now, I personally wouldn't trade this until I get a strong indication of which direction it's going to go. But currently it's trading both between the 20 period and the 200 period. And so therefore I would not be looking for positions within that range right there, because we could be ending up in a sideways motion when that is happening, okay? The only way I will make a decision on that is if we have a clear breakthrough to the downside or a clear breakthrough to the upside, all right? And I'd be looking for these various levels of support and resistance for that confirmation, okay? So now, as far as, overall deciding on what direction the market is going, we can clearly see that, the market does not know what it wants to do right now, okay? And you can kind of see that by the range that we're currently in as well. We kind of came down here. We found support way down here, but we've been trending upwards, and we kind of, went sideways here for a little bit, and you can see both EMAs even went sideways here for a little bit. Then we went up a little bit, but we hit that resistance area. We could not cross it. There just wasn't enough momentum. And then we came back down, and we created this this next support area right down here. And then we ended up going back up, and we're kind of just ranging within this area right here. So I personally would not trade this until we get some very strong confirmation as far as what is going to be happening, and we get a good directional move. Now, if I go ahead and look at the RSI, I can get kind of a little bit of a clue and tell me that, you know, obviously, well, the RSI is below the moving average, so things are pretty, you know, volume is pretty weak right now, and things could potentially be a little bearish right here, okay? So if that does end up happening and it ends up coming down and we end up getting a strong candle closure beneath the 200 period EMA, I would assume that we would end up coming back down to retest this support area down here of 577. And if that doesn't hold, then we will end up coming down and testing this range right in here for support as well, okay? So now I will go ahead and look for a random coin. I'm just going to pick a random coin. We'll just pick Near Protocol, and we'll go ahead and look at Near Protocol. So here is Near Protocol on the 4-hour chart. And as you guys can clearly see, we have got this very strong area of resistance up here, and we've got this strong area of support down here. And you can see that all as well because we had pretty much a double bottom down here. We hit this 2 different times and rejected it each time. So that is a good thing to see. But we also hit this top up here as well, which, you know, obviously we've got that strong resistance up there. So what I would be looking for here personally is obviously I can tell that the 20 period and the 200 period are about to cross over. Therefore, price action is going to be underneath the 20 period EMA. Now remember what I was explaining earlier, when price action is below the 20 period EMA and trending below it, it usually means things are bearish and there's bearish momentum going on in the market. So I will be looking for potential short opportunities. Now, the way that I would do this is I would wait until price action gets down here and tests this support level first, okay? So here's how this could play out. The first thing you could do is you could get into a short right now, and this could be your confirmation right here, is the fact that, you know, these 2 lines, or the 2 EMAs are about to cross, and we have got very strong momentum to the downside going on, especially when we go ahead and look at the total 3, we can clearly see that price is underneath the 20 period EMA as well, so things may start to be a little bit bearish here, okay? Now, you could end up getting in right here, and you could end up riding a short all the way down to this support level. Now, if you ended up doing that, let's see here, if you ended up doing that with 10x leverage, you would profit roughly around between 30 and 40% profit right there, because you're using 10x leverage. So if you ended up doing that, you could end up profiting from that move right there. Now, if you didn't want to do that, let's say you wanted to go and zoom in further, and you wanted to get a much closer look at things, then here we go. We've got this look as well. And on the hourly chart, we have got much more in-depth layers of support and resistance here. As you guys can clearly see, we've got we've got resistance up here, we've got resistance in this area, and we've also got resistance in this area, and we are currently going through a level of support right now as well. So the way that I would be looking at this is if price ends up going through this entire layer of support right here and ends up going through the bottom of it, that's going to tell me that momentum is very, very weak, and I will enter a short when it comes through and closes an hourly candle outside of this level, okay? Now, if that does end up happening, let's say price ends up coming all the way straight through and ends up closing right here, and then the next candle opens and starts to go up a little bit, all right? Then what I will end up doing is I will end up waiting before I enter the trade, and I will wait to see what this hourly candle does. If this hourly candle ends up going back up and retesting this resistance area right here, then I'll wait for the next candle, all right? It's all about patience and deciding when to get in, because the next candle that opens after that may end up coming back down and end up coming back down through here. And if that ends up happening, then you can pretty much confirm that, okay, well, the market is gonna for sure end up coming back down. And if that does end up happening, you'd be in right around in this area, and you would short it, and you would end up going all the way down to this next layer of support, which would be right around 2.6%, or with leverage, that'd be right around 26 to 30% in profit right there, okay? So overall, that's pretty much what I look for. All right. It's pretty simple, to be honest with you. You just have to kind of put all of the pieces together and kind of make them work for what you do. But the key thing here is you want to make everything work in tandem. Okay. Now, the other thing that I want to point out here too is the RSI is at the bottom as well. Okay, this tells us that things are already extremely oversold. So this could potentially mean, this is why it's always important to wait for candle closures for confirmation before you enter a trade, because realistically what could be happening here is, since this is already super low on the RSI, it means we could end up having a reversal at some point in time. And if that does end up happening, what could happen here is we could end up bouncing off of this support area right down here and start heading back upwards again. All right. So how I would be looking at that is I would be looking at this. I'd be looking at this as a low, and then if this ends up bouncing to the upside, I would treat this as a higher low, and I would wait until we get a candle closure above this resistance area before I start to feel comfortable in entering a long position. And then I will wait until we get a candle closure above the 20-period EMA, because that will signal to me that we've got bullish momentum back in the market. And once again, we've got price action above the 20-period EMA once again, and we've got bullish momentum going upwards again, so we can enter for a long position. So, for instance, if this ended up coming up and passing through the 20-period EMA, then we want to start looking for longs right in this area, and we want to hold that long all the way up until this potential top of this resistance area right up in here, because this is a very solid, this was the most recent peak point that we were at, and it serves as a very solid level for good solid resistance right there. So if you were to enter right there and get into a trade on that and go all the way up, you'd make right around roughly around 50% total with 10% or with 10x with 10x leverage right there. So overall, you guys, as you guys can clearly see, there is all kinds of ways to make money with this specific strategy. This is just what works for me personally, okay? There's a lot more to it that I'm realistically not explaining. It's kind of hard to explain your own specific strategy and what you personally use that works for you. But overall, if you kind of get an idea of what I'm doing here, you can go ahead and give it a try, but I would personally give it a try in the demo environment first before you actually go through and do some live trades with it, because anything can happen here. All right. You have no idea. This is a brand new strategy for you. You have no idea how it's going to work. You want to give it a test first and see how it works for you personally. But overall here, guys, if any of you guys have any questions about this, about anything that I talked about in here whatsoever, feel free to reach out to me. I'm always down for questions. I love helping people out. And if you would like to join my free Discord server as well, go ahead and send me a direct message on Twitter and I will send you a link. This is my Twitter account. It's at Garrett_N_stuff. And you can just go ahead and follow me and then send me a message and ask me for an invite, and I'll go ahead and send you an invite. So other than that, you guys, that's going to pretty much do it for this video. So I will go ahead and wrap this one up. But if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to go ahead and subscribe to the channel, hit the like button below the video, and leave me a comment below on your personal thoughts of what you thought of this strategy. And with that said, for those of you who watch this entire video throughout the whole thing, thank you guys very much. I appreciate all of you, and I hope to see all of you in my future videos.